Welcome back to my views and news, another news bulletin for you. News stories from Ethiopia, Sudan, from the Tigray and Amhara regions of Ethiopia. Important news stories. First one is from Tigray, viewers. A big change, I call it a big change in Tigray, is now visible. Political change. A few weeks ago, there were serious tensions between Tigray interim government and TPLF. Tigray is the largest political party which was resisting, which was opposing Getacheau's some decisions. Party officials were openly criticizing Getacheau, the Tigray interim president, at some party meetings. People asked some very tough questions. Party was holding internal meetings. Things have changed. We are seeing a big change. LM Debre, everyone knows that LM Debre was very critical of Getacheau. He opposed Getacheau when Getacheau contested party election to be a candidate from the party for Tigray interim president slot. Even after that, we heard that LM Debre was extremely critical of Getacheau. The things have changed. We have received some information which I will share with you. Secondly, viewers, a video for you from Emmanuel city, where there were protests yesterday. People set on fire government buildings. Farmers protested there. Family members of some abductees protested. We know that a few days ago, I think 3 to 4 days ago, several truck drivers and vehicle owners were abducted in Oromia region of Ethiopia in North Shore. Ransom was being demanded. Most of the abductees were from Emmanuel. That is why protests started in Emmanuel yesterday. We have a clip for you from Emmanuel showing that it was as if entire city took to the streets. Big protest in Emmanuel. Situation still not under control there. And thirdly, viewers, around 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks ago, Ethiopian military conducted an operation against Fano fighters in Debre Elias, which is in East Kojam. A monastery was surrounded and security forces tried to arrest Fano fighters. And their commander Skandar was there. In that operation, government forces claimed to have killed 200 Fano fighters, and government accused church officials there at the monastery, monks, that they supported Fano fighters. Today, for the first time, a church official spoke on what happened in Debre Elias. He claims that still dead bodies are lying unburied, and that only one monk survived. All other are either dead or they're missing. Details for you. Lastly, Sudan, where their fighting is ongoing close to a very strategic military base. Not close to, but if this area, if this zone is taken by rapid support forces, the military base could come under threat from rapid support forces. And secondly, fighting is being reported between Sudanese military and SPLM, Sudan People's Liberation Movement Al Hilu group in South Kordofan. I did a video a few days ago about this group when it captured a few areas near Kadugli in South Kordofan. Firstly, viewers, Tigray, big change, positive change, I think, because we know that when Pretoria deal was signed, after that discussions in Tigray began about establishment of interim government. TPLF wanted lion's share in interim setup. Opposition parties boycotted TPLF's meetings for the establishment of interim government. Debretsion wanted to retain his position as Tigray interim president, but we saw that he held a meeting with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, PM Abiy, and PM Abiy rejected Debretsion as Tigray interim president. He wanted someone new. That is why party held a meeting, TPLF, and Getachew Reda contested party election. Central committee voted. Getachew Reda and Haftatsion were two major candidates. Getachew got 18 votes, I think, and Haftatsion got 17 votes. So Getachew was nominated by the party after winning party election with a lead of 1 vote. And PM Abiy approved Getachew as Tigray interim president. And after that, we saw start of tensions between the group which lost party election, led by Debre Elias, and Getachew-led Tigray interim government. We heard that Debretsion, former president and the president of TPLF, and former vice president Mongerino were supporting Debre Elias group. And we saw some statements showing that there were problems between Getachew Reda and TPLF. TPLF's president Debretsion held some meetings in Addis Ababa a few weeks ago. He held a meeting with PM Abiy. He wanted to curtail the duration of interim government. He said interim government must not go beyond 1 year. Its duration should be between 6 months and 1 year. TPLF wants election. PM Abiy then responded by making a move through NABE. NABE refused to reinstate TPLF as a political party. NABE says TPLF should apply for new registration. TPLF at this point of time is not eligible to contest party election, to contest any election in Ethiopia. And Getachew was accused of supporting federal government, supporting PM Abiy. But things have changed now. It's very clear because today was the third time that Debretsion and Getachew were seen together. They were seen together on 2 previous occasions in the last 4 to 5 days. A program was organized in Hosen, I think, for martyrs. There the two were seen together. Then in Mekelle, yesterday, they were seen together. And today again, Debretsion and Getachew attended a program organized in Mekelle in connection with the services of martyrs, services of those who fought in the 2-year-long war. Interestingly, more interestingly than the participation of Debretsion is the participation of Debre Elias. Debre Elias was seen today sitting with Getachew Reda at this program held in Mekelle. Mongerino was there too, Fatlevok, Gerbizaber, former vice president of Tigray. So we are clearly seeing reconciliation between Tigray interim president and TPLF leadership. Did you see Debre Elias and Getachew before this program in any program together? I did not see them together. Even Debretsion and Getachew were not seen together. But today we saw them together for the third or fourth time in just a week. People say that Sadkan is in the US, that is why things have changed in Tigray. It's unfair to say. Let's see what happens when he returns. But overall, it's a good sign for political stability in Tigray that those who had some disagreements, they are sitting together. Of course, martyrs, the sacrifices should be acknowledged by all of them. All of them fought, by the way. Getachew, Debretsion, LM, Fatlever, all fought. They fought from the front. They fought in Dambian. So all deserve to be part of such programs. Only thing which should be monitored, only thing is that opposition party should also be kept on board by Getachew, because opposition stood with Tigray Defense Force too. Salsevojene, Betona, TIP did not stand with Ethiopian National Defense Force. The party leaders fought alongside Tigray fighters, alongside TPLF members in the 2-year-long war. Let's hope that Getachew takes all opposition parties on board too. So far, rapprochement is being seen, reconciliation is being seen between TPLF leaders and Tigray interim government in Tigray. Secondly, viewers, Emmanuel town of the Amhara region, where we saw big protests yesterday. Protests were really big. Today we got a video showing that hundreds, if not thousands, were there blocking main streets, main road leading to Oromia from Emmanuel was blocked by protesters. Farmers joined the protests too, because farmers are protesting in some parts of Amhara region. They are saying fertilizers are not available, seeds are not available. Farming season is almost over. Fertilizers surrounded the farmers, surrounded agricultural office, revenue office in Emmanuel yesterday. And the protesters were mostly from families of those who were abducted in North Shore, Oromia region 3 to 4 days ago, when unknown attackers kidnapped dozens of truck drivers, vehicle owners, when they were on their way from Emmanuel to Oromia. And then the attackers, the abductors, demanded ransom for the release. And most of these abductees' families are not in a position to pay ransoms. They are poor families, so they took to the streets. We saw start of protests. Ethiopian army arrived in Emmanuel. Today, more Ethiopian army troops were seen heading to and entering Emmanuel town. Situation is not under control. This anti-government sentiment is on the rise in the Amhara. Almost on daily basis, we receive reports about protests, about clashes between Fano fighters and Ethiopian military. A clip for you from Emmanuel showing that the entire town came out on the streets of Emmanuel to protest against abductions of innocent people in Oromia, in North Oromia. Watch the clip. Thirdly, viewers, a very important news story, another one from the Amhara region, where for the first time an Orthodox church official spoke about what happened in Debre Elias. In Debre Elias, we know that Ethiopian military a few days ago conducted an operation. And after that, after the operation, military claimed that more than 200 Fano fighters had been killed in that operation. The operation was conducted at some monasteries in Debre Elias, East Gojam. The monasteries were allegedly being used as training centers, as places for collection of arms by Fano fighters. Skandar was accused, former politician, of leading those Fano fighters. He managed to escape. For 5 days, the monasteries in Debre Elias remained under siege. Ethiopian Orthodox Church remained silent. For the first time, we're seeing a statement from a church official. Habte Georgis Asrat is head of monasteries administration department of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. He has shared some details of what happened at the monasteries in Debre Elias. He says 4 monasteries were affected in the operation by Ethiopian forces. The monasteries were damaged too. Only 1 monk has survived. All others have either been killed or they are missing. Where are they? No one knows. Most have been shot dead, or they managed to escape along with Fano fighters, because Fano fighters also managed to flee the 4 monasteries, and from there they moved towards Dambicha, West Gojam reportedly. So the Orthodox Church official is confirming that unknown number of monks and priests were killed in the operation by Ethiopian army. He did not share numbers, but he said several dead bodies are still lying unburied, and smell of dead bodies can still be felt in the area, in the surroundings. Church is holding some discussions to adopt a line of action, how to respond. Patriarch, diocese, archdiocese, they're holding discussions according to Hapte Georgius. Interestingly, he mentioned one important point, that from these monasteries, some banners, pictures have been recovered showing as if a new religious group was there. Followers of a separate religious group, maybe part of Orthodox Church, but a new religious group, its logos, its pictures were recovered from the monasteries. He did not share details. What is the name of this religious sect, a new sect or some group within the Orthodox Church? He did not share details. Overall, what is needed is some investigation by at least Human Rights Commission of Ethiopia. Of course, international investigation will not be allowed by Ethiopian government. At least human rights organizations should be allowed to visit. Media should be allowed to visit Debre Elias monasteries. What happened there? We're seeing documentaries made by Ethiopian state media. We've seen just one version of what happened, and that version was shared with us by Ethiopian government, Ethiopian state media, Ethiopian security forces. I think some independent body should be allowed to visit the 4 monasteries and should be allowed to interview people. That is how truth will come out. Maybe Ethiopian government is correct in what it is saying. Still, human rights organization should be allowed to visit Gajam. That is how people would come to know what really happened at the monasteries. Lastly, we Sudan, where 2 important developments. I have been saying that rapid support forces are targeting bases, strategic sites. One after the other, they are taking control of these strategic sites. Sudanese military's bases are falling to rapid support forces one by one. Almost on weekly basis, we hear news about at least one strategic site coming under the control of rapid support forces. Today, heavy fighting was reported in Al Fatiyab. Al Fatiyab or Abu Saad neighborhood is to the south of Muhandasin. Muhandasin is in Durman, and in Muhandasin there is a military base of Ethiopian military. It seems rapid support forces are trying to take control of Al Fatiyab. Abu Saad, if they capture Abu Saad, Al Fatiyab, they can cut off the bridge which links Durman with Bahri, Durman with Khartoum Central, and then they can make a move on the Muhandasin military base as well. It seems their next target is Muhandasin military base, an armored corps which has been heavily fortified by Ethiopian military. Ethiopian military has sent reinforcements to armored corps in Jabra North, I think, and in Muhandasin as well. We have seen new reinforcements arrived in the past few days, but rapid support forces are definitely trying to get control of neighborhoods in the vicinity of both corps, armored corps and Muhandasin military base. Several burning vehicles of rapid support forces were seen today in some videos. The Sudanese military is trying to push rapid support forces out of Abu Saad, Al Fatiyab. But RSF fighters are still there, heavy fighting, street fighting ongoing. Secondly, we have Kordofan, where we know that SPLM, Sudan People's Liberation Movement, Al Hilu group is in charge of the territory. Like Blue Nile is under the control of SPLM Malik Aga group. Malik Aga is now part of the government. He is Vice Chairman of Sudan Sovereignty Council. The other SPLM faction is led by Al Hilu, and this faction is based in Kordofan. In South Kordofan, this faction took control of some places near Kadugli a few days ago. Sudan's military is fighting rapid support forces in North Kordofan. In South Kordofan, we're seeing that Al Hilu group, SPLM Al Hilu group, is taking advantage of the situation, and it is taking control of areas near Kadugli. And now small scale clashes are ongoing between SPLM Al Hilu group fighters and Sudanese military. Sudanese military is fighting both rapid support forces in North Kordofan, and Al Hilu group, SPLM Al Hilu group in South Kordofan. Thanks for watching.